All right, Phillip Island. Very fun track if you haven't driven this before. It is a pretty crashy track. There is a lot of passing opportunities, but they are quite risky, and a lot of damage can happen, especially on the first couple of laps with cold tires. This is definitely a watch out. There's going to be a lot of spins and crashes. As far as the iRacing setup goes, actually not too unhappy with it. I did make some changes. The ride height lowered that. Compression left the same. ARB left the same. Brake bias on the lower side of things. Not a lot of big, heavy braking areas here. If you're locking up the rears, just increase that a little bit. Spring rate in the front, that's lowered. Toe in is increased. And in the rear, the spring rate is lowered and the toe-in is increased. Rear ride height is lowered, of course, as well. Compression is left the same, ARB is left the same. 14 liters should get you to the end. And for a change, using the iRacing gear stack, very tall. Tall actually feels better, works better through the corners in here. Sets up the gear shifts a little bit better. However, there is some long straights in here, especially the start-finish straight. And if you are using a tall stack, I think you're going to get eaten up in the draft. Whether you're trying to overtake someone, you won't be able to. Or if you're defending, you're really going to get eaten up pretty quick. You can try the tall, but my recommendation is very tall. It is a lot of time on that start-finish straight that you're going to lose or gain, depending on which gear stack you're using. So watch out for that. So we'll go through the corners turn by turn in slow-mo as usual, and then run it out at full speed. Track is 22, so that should be pretty close to race temp. It's 31% usage, so that's pretty low. So definitely, hopefully there's more grip on track. Get your times down a little bit lower. So going into turn one, this is going to be a huge overtaking, passing opportunity. A lot of battles through here. You are going to lose a tremendous amount of time if you do battle with someone here, so just watch out for that. The cars behind you will catch up quite quickly if you are fighting it out here. So actually, just back that up. So looking for the 100 board here, and basically then you're spotting for the speaker just past that 100 board, past this white line, and then just lifting. Cold tires, it's a little bit of a bigger lift. Hot tires, less of a lift. I might have lifted a little much there, but you don't want to come in here too hot. You will run wide and spin out, go off track, all that good stuff. You want to get the car turned in tight against this curb. It's actually not ideal to get on this curb, but it isn't a bad idea to get a little bit onto that curb rather than run wide. If you run wide, you're going to have to really slow down in order to keep the car on track. And then just picking up the throttle as early as you can. You can make use of the curb out here. I probably could have came in there a little hotter, but such is life. So still in fourth gear, basically trying to keep it mid-track, and then you are looking for the whatever this is, the speaker, siren, light post, I'm not sure. Getting on the brakes, not too hard, shifting down into third gear. Again, this is when you do not want to come in too hot. You can see the track here is pretty cambered. If you are up top here, you will have far less grip, and you will push out wide and run into all sorts of trouble into that grass. So just easing off the brake and then just sort of picking up the throttle. You just have to feel the car out. Make sure you're not pushing too wide. Make sure you're not spinning that back end around. And then looking for the Marshall box here. Basically a little bit before this Marshall box, or you can use this sandy patch here. That's going to be getting down into second gear, and again just keeping that line tight and then just picking up the throttle as early as possible. This is a late apex. You can get onto this curb, it's not going to upset the car too much, and then basically just shifting up into third and letting the car run out to the edge on the right hand side here. Now in this very tall stack, you want to shift into fourth once you're past the flat part, once you're going downhill past that crest, shifting. You don't have to have the car out wide here to make this corner. This corner is not very sharp. If you're out here really wide, you're just leaving yourself open for a pass, extending the track. You're not gaining anything. So mid-track, and then you're looking for the 100 board coming up here, braking really hard about 2 car lengths before it, shifting down into first. Again, this is I think probably the hardest braking zone on the track, so it's a really hard braking area. Again, this is going to be a really big passing area, so practice defensive lines here. People are going to be diving up the inside like crazy, so watch out for that. And just easing off the brake, picking up the throttle. It's a pretty late apex here, and then you can use all of the track on the left hand side. I didn't use it all. I could have picked up that throttle probably a little bit more than I did. Now in the very tall stack, leaving it in second gear and basically looking for the end of that curb on the right here. Once you're past the white part, just getting on the brakes just a little bit, a blast of brakes, still in second gear, just to slow the car down. You don't want to lose the back end while you're coming in here. Again, you can see this is pretty cambered, so again, if you're on the inside, you have a lot more grip than if you're on the outside. And then just easing on the throttle. It's quite a late apex. This corner just goes and goes. And then just unwinding the wheel, picking up the throttle. Using all of this track. Again, if you're over the curbs here, I believe for this track, for the most part, even if your left-hand wheel is on track, if you go over the curbs on this course, you do get an X. So make sure you keep it on the blue and white. And if you notice here, you'll see it in full speed. With the very tall gear stack, make sure you do not short shift. It takes a long time to get up into the high RPMs. I shifted a little short there, so just watch out for that. This very tall stack takes a while to get up into fourth gear, or up to the next gear. Again, you don't have to get all the way over to the left here. You're just extending the track and opening the door for a pass. This is not a sharp corner. You can be mid-track and take this corner full speed without scrubbing any speed. So just practice that a little bit. Now it is a brief shift up into fourth gear. I find it is faster if you do get into fourth gear, especially if you're drafting off someone. You're going to make up time if you shift up into fourth. And so you're looking for this access road just a few car lengths before it, getting on the brakes. down into third gear, and then just easing off the brake, picking up the throttle. Again, you can see there's even a dip here in the pavement, and you need to get into that dip, otherwise you're going to push out wide, and that is going to compromise your next corner. So getting into that dip, third gear, full power, and keeping it to the left. Now again, this corner itself, there's probably going to be a lot of passing attempts, so if you are on the inside, you are going to be able to go faster. However, if someone is on the outside and if they're a pretty good driver, they can keep side by side with you, and then they are on the inside for the next corner. So this track is tricky. There's a lot of passing opportunities here, so just watch out for that. So looking for this 50 board. This is a big downhill dip here, and just before that dip, you want to get on the brakes just as you're about to break the crest of that hill. Just touch the brakes before you start going downhill, just to get the car started to slow down. Shifting down into first. If you get on the brakes while you are downhill, you really lose a lot of the braking space you need to make this corner. And again, this is probably the hardest braking one. Down into first, and again, people, if they're on the inside here, this is a huge passing opportunity. Especially on cold tires, this is a huge crashing opportunity, so watch out for that. Getting into these curbs, and again, very cambered here. You need to get onto the curbs really to get this corner as tight as possible and as fast as possible. And picking up the throttle as early as you can, and you don't really want to exit out too far to the left. I could have probably opened it up a little bit more than what I did, but you do want to set yourself up for the next corner here as well. And shifting up into second, again, it's awkward with the very tall gear stack, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Second gear, it's just not quite full power, just don't you can get the car to spin out, get your rear end spinning there, so you just have to watch that. The curbs here, you have to watch out. This part of the this part of the curb is got elevation to it. If you hit this curb, it is going to really upset the car. You could spin out. You're definitely probably going to run wide. So don't get onto this elevated curb. But right here you can see now it's flat, and this is perfectly fine to get onto this. So running the car out fairly wide here, making use of all the track, opening up the wheel, but coming into this next corner, you don't have to be with your tires on the curbs here. You don't have to be so far wide in order to make this corner. Again, you're just extending the track, you're just opening the door for someone to go for a pass. So 3/4 of the way over on the track. Mid-track is maybe a little too tight, but 3/4 of the way over, that's no problem. You can do this full throttle. On cold tires, you do have to watch this one. Full throttle, you'll probably have to lift a little on the first lap, maybe the second lap. If you don't, you're going to run wide, get that X, and actually it is possible to even spin on this corner because you are carrying a lot of speed. So watch out for that. And then just towards this Marshall box, you want to make sure you're really tight up against the curbs here, just so that you're not going to exit and end up going off track. And just opening up the wheel and getting over to the right hand side. Use up most of the track. Again, probably could have done that a little quicker. I didn't use all of the track. Do watch, however, if you get a tire onto this grass, you are going to spin and you're going to end up on this left hand side of the wall. So if you see a car in front of you doing that, get over to the right, because they're going to smash into that right or left hand side wall. So this is a long straight. This is where the very tall gear stack is definitely going to play a big role. Uh, it is a long way to the finish line here, so you definitely can battle if you're right up tight against somebody. That's actually not a bad place to be because you can draft and actually do an overtake before you reach the finish line here. A lot of close races decided in that exact manner. So that is crossing the line. It's a 1:39.3. Definitely a little time left on the table. I would guess the high 1:38s is going to be where the top people are. But if you can get into the low 1:39s, you're definitely going to be competitive. So good luck out there. We'll see you next time. We'll run this out at full speed.